If you're looking for fast, flashy, and addictive action combat, these JRPGs absolutely deliver, and a few of them might just be your next big obsession. Kicking things off, we have Persona 5 Strikers, bringing Joker and the Phantom Thieves back together on a summer road trip that goes off the rails fast. Blending Miso-style hack-and-slash chaos with the tactical depth of Persona's turn-based combat, you'll find it hard to stop playing. You scan and exploit elemental weaknesses, pause to fire off Persona skills, and chain ultimates and all-out attacks for massive bursts of damage. Once you're engaged with the real-time rhythm of dodging, swapping characters, and slinging spells, each encounter has a flow that feels polished, snappy, and stylish. It's all complemented by flashy visuals and non-stop motion feeding your eyes. The mix of mob clearing, mini-bosses, and skill loadouts keeps the pacing tight, and fusing new personas always gives you something to experiment with. Even in 2025, Strikers remains one of the most satisfying action twists a JRPG series has ever pulled off. Another unique spin on a classic formula, Final Fantasy XVI shifts the beloved series fully into action combat as Clive and company set out to destroy the Mother Crystals that oppress the realm. Its character action combat is enhanced through customizable summon and ability loadouts that offer a surprising amount of depth when it comes to build variety. And when you trigger abilities, the screen explodes with particle effects and vibrant hues. It's a sensory rush every time. The game keeps feeding that loop by constantly giving you new icon abilities to try, new rotations to learn, and boss fights that feel like full-on set pieces. The sheer drama and spectacle are sure to keep you stimulated, paired with addictive in-game content like a deep dungeon mode and replayable stages. This fresh take on the iconic series is a must-play for fans of action games like Devil May Cry and Asura's Wrath. Speaking of spectacle, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink feels frenetic and thrilling as you and your crew hunt for a missing ally and get pulled into a conflict that threatens to plunge the entire region into chaos. What makes Relink so addictive is how each character in its huge roster feels completely different in terms of combat cadence, impact, and build variety. Chaining link attacks, timing bursty party-wide ultimates, and breaking bosses just feels incredible. With every slash, rupture, and explosion blitzing across the screen, its hypnotic combat is a blast to play. Once you finish the brief but engaging main story, the whole game opens up. With a rewarding loop of boss quests, gear upgrades, raider sigils to farm, and plenty of builds to optimize. There's always something new to tweak or upgrade, as each character has their own skill trees and weapon paths to unlock. While the multiplayer scene isn't as busy these days, Relink still shines as a solo experience with some of the most addictive action combat in the JRPG space. Honestly, just recording footage for this video had me ready to jump back in. In Ys VIII, you play as Adol, a shipwrecked adventurer exploring a mysterious island to help fellow stranded passengers find their way back home. Its snappy, timeless action combat feels incredibly satisfying. You can instantly swap party members, unleash a flurry of custom-set abilities, and time flash dodges to slow down enemies and boost your damage. Once the timing clicks, your brain will thank you for this constant dopamine rush. And because that frenetic combat feeds directly into lush exploration, weapon crafting, and rebuilding your camp, it's shockingly easy to get hooked for hours. Even in 2025, Ys VIII still stands out as one of the most addictive action JRPGs you can play, and it's got an enticing story to boot. Next up, we've got a nostalgic PS1 Throwback Reborn as Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Here, you follow Claude, Reyna, and their crew as they get swept up in a sci-fi meets fantasy adventure that quickly spirals into a full-on save-the-world situation. Combat feels surprisingly sharp and shiny, with quick dodges, extravagant spell animations, tight controls, and a nicely sized roster of playable characters, each with their own roles and rhythm in battle. If you want to push things further, the game lets you chain enemy encounters together and build up a bonus gauge for extra rewards, so playing well turns each skirmish into a high-stakes streak. Outside of battle, item creation and specialties let you cook, craft, and customize gear in ways that can completely break the game, letting you revel in that overpowered feeling as you grind out battles and watch those numbers go up. Its genius blend of precise action, clever systems, and a beefy postgame makes Second Story R dangerously easy to lose hours to. Now for something a bit more technical, Tales of Grace's F takes the series' signature action combat in a more aggressive, combo-heavy direction. You follow Asbel and his friends through a story about childhood promises and political drama, but the real star here is the battle system. Instead of a traditional MP bar, you've got a CC gauge that refills as you guard and dodge, encouraging you to stay in your enemy's face with quick sidesteps, dodge cancels, and long strings of arts or abilities. Every character has their own vibe, and once you get the hang of quick dodging and weaving arts together, combat kind of feels like a fighting game disguised as a JRPG. Striking pastel animations, constant movement, and the satisfaction of connecting hits keeps battles feeling addictive and intentional, with the title system that drip feeds new passive skills and arts to slot into your combos. With tougher difficulties and a chunky post-game, Grace's F is perfect for those that like to experiment with ability combo builds and appreciate a combat system that's easy to pick up but challenging to master. To wrap things up, Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII is one of the strangest and most rewarding combat systems in the series. You're on a literal timer as Lightning races to save what's left of humanity, and the outlandish battle system leans into that urgency with a hybrid of real-time action and ATB-style gauges. Instead of a fixed job, you build out customizable schemata, each with its own ATB bar that waxes and wanes as you sling abilities and trigger defensive tools. You're constantly swapping between them to attack, debuff, guard, and dodge. Nailing a perfectly timed block or stagger window feels incredible, and once the timing clicks, fights drift into a rhythmic flow state. Lightning Returns is layered with a ridiculous amount of garments, weapons, shields, and abilities to collect, letting you rebuild Lightning as you see fit, from tanky guard sets to brutal debuffer or quirky hybrid builds. With multiple difficulty modes and a structure that encourages repeat runs and experimentation, Lightning Returns quietly becomes one of the most addictive and unique combat systems around. Sometimes we're not playing for the story, and we want to just get lost in the action of an addictive combat loop. Got an action RPG that keeps you playing all day? Drop those recommendations in the comments because I'll be reading every single one. And hey, remember to take care of yourself and your party members. Until our next quest, I'll see you later.